Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Battle of Ontario Hockey Podcast, featuring a Senators fan and a Leafs fan. We're here to talk about your two favorite teams, the rest of the NHL, local hockey, hockey all around the world, and to bring back memories from your favorite hockey teams and players. If you love the Leafs, Sens, B-Sens, NHL, or any other hockey, including the late Belleville Bulls, you are going to want to tune into our podcast. The gloves are off, the buckets are spinning, let's get the chirps flying. Welcome to the Boo Club! Well, Flem, good to see you back, buddy. We have one hell of a show for our viewers today. I think it's probably going to be our best one. I do apologize. I've got a little bit of a cold. I'm staying away from everybody. It is just a cold, so my voice, bear with me. It's not as bad as it was last week. But we got an awesome show. There's a ton of things to talk about. Plus, we have a guest today, our second guest, Michael Renzi, which we're going to get to in a little bit, but we have a ton to talk about. So, Flem, what do you got shaking, buddy?
Yeah, going good, bud. So I actually watched your Sens game last night, and I will say the kids looked good. You've been preaching it for a while, so nice to see that. Lots to talk about that game. So I don't know. Do you want to jump right into that game first here, the Sens Montreal?
Well, let's do the Leafs first.
Okay.
Then we'll get to the Sens. How about that, buddy?
Yeah. So the Toronto Maple Leafs, they came out and they beat Montreal, I guess, on Saturday night. Yeah, Austin Matthews comes out with 2 goals, and really coming into that game, I think I texted, I said, oh, there's the MVP of the league right there. Matthews on fire. He couldn't be stopped. And then we go into the late game with Edmonton-Calgary. Yeah. Sure enough, McDavid puts up a hat trick. So he does have a little competition for the MVP race. But, yeah, I think Matthews was just on fire that night. And lots of things happened in that Montreal game we can get to a little later, too. Lots of injuries for the Leafs. Hyman got hurt. Freddie Anderson got hurt and didn't play the next night. So the Leafs are a little beat up right now. Going into Monday night, everyone knows they lose 3-0 to Calgary. That's just kind of seemingly how the NHL works, right? I mean, the team that loses 7-1 to their arch rival on Saturday, like the Flames, they come in and beat the best team in the league in Toronto. So that's kind of how the NHL works. It was a weird game. Toronto didn't really get going. One thing I did take note of that game is Keith loaded up on the big line, right? So he goes Tavares, Marner, and Matthews. And the last time he did that was Game 5 against Columbus in the playoffs last year. So that's 2 straight games where Keith loaded up on the big line, 2 games in a row, where the Leafs get shut out. I know he probably does it to get Tavares going, but I'm wondering if that's an experiment that's coming to an end. It hasn't seemed to work. Leafs get shut out 3-0. Battle the backups too. Freddie Anderson goes down. The Leafs are missing a whole bunch of players on Monday. Just kind of one of those games. I think they were throwing out their second power play was their whole 4th line usually. So injuries are slowing them down right now. Hyman's coming back in tonight. So I think Freddie's still going to be out. So we'll see how they do tonight going against Calgary again.
Yeah, just to touch on that, buddy. So I thought Toronto had the game on Saturday night. I mean, it just proves how much deadly their scoring can be and has been this year. And they just outperformed Montreal. It's plain and simple. Monday night was one of those games where it doesn't matter if you're first place in the NHL, you're not going to win every single game. That's life. That's hockey. That's the competitive nature of the NHL. Calgary came out. They're really hungry. Calgary's really hungry. They're out of a playoff spot right now. So, they're going to come flying. And like you say, not to make excuses, but Toronto's got a pile of injuries.
Yep.
And they're playing the 3rd-string goalie. That's a tough one to win. Calgary came and Calgary outperformed them and won 3-0. Not a big deal for Toronto. It's just a bit of a slip-up. But those are going to happen. You're not going to win every single game. So if you're a Leafs fan, you know what? You brush it off. You get ready for the next game as far as I'm concerned.
For sure. Yeah, it's just kind of those ones you just throw out the window. I mean, Freddie gets scratched really late going into that game, so it's just kind of one where you just toss it away, move on tonight. Hopefully you have a better outcome against Calgary tonight. Calgary is one of those teams, they're hungry now, so I don't know. If I was going to put a bet down, I might throw some money down on Calgary tonight just because the Leafs do look like they're going with Hutchinson again, and he didn't look great the other night for sure. He didn't lose in that game, but he didn't make any game-saving stops. He did let in a weak one on the first goal, so we'll see how Calgary comes out tonight, but I'd probably pick Calgary to win that one too.
Well, and having said that, Hutchinson didn't get any goal support, which I think might be the first time this year Toronto's hasn't scored. I could be wrong on that one, but Calgary is coming out flying. And the other part of that is
6 of Ottawa's next 7 games are against Calgary, and I think the other one's Montreal. So it'll be interesting to see, because that could be a make or break for Calgary. I mean, you're playing the last place team in the division, who also has won 4 of 6 games. So maybe we'll cut to that fun. So just in case everybody's wondering, I need 4 more wins out of 31 games to beat Fleming on my bet. So I'm looking pretty damn good. If you want to double down Fleming, I'm ready for that one.
I did try to get you to go regulation wins. I think Ottawa only has 2 regulation. So they're chiseling overtime and shootout wins. They're not real wins. Like, come on.
I think that was their first shootout win. So
okay.
I mean, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to make things fair. Shootout wins don't count, and that's me being a nice guy.
Okay, deal. I'll take it.
I don't have to give you an inch on this bet, but I'm gonna. Shootout wins don't count. Shootout wins are a little different. I do enjoy shootouts in regular season. I never want to see them in playoffs. In regular season, I think it's great. Way better than ending in a tie. You could do another overtime, but overtime wins count. It's overtime. Yeah. And so anyways, let's get to the Ottawa games here. Should we? Yeah, let's get so Sunday night, Ottawa wins 3-2 in overtime. They actually dominated the overtime. It was a ton of fun to watch. And then just looks like missed coverage, and Tkachuk puts home the winner. Great to see Ottawa bounce back. And then last night again, Montreal, Ottawa. I'm talking to my Habs friends who are my Habs fans, friends who are fans of the Habs. Can't put that one out today, I guess. But and they're all, not a chance. Ottawa's winning tonight. Not a chance. Well, guess what? Ottawa won. Now there's some controversy, and we're going to get to it. And I know there's a lot of pissed off fans, but we'll get to it. But at the end of the day, Ottawa won again. They've won 4 of 6 games. The second win they got was that 5-1 where they came back and won 6-5 in overtime. And I was so pumped about that. And a lot of the Leaf fans are like, oh, listen, it's just one game. It's one game for Toronto, and it's a bad game for them. It's more than one game for Ottawa. And I told everybody why. I said it's going to jumpstart their season. Yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs, but it's going to be huge confidence for these young players. And it has been. It has been. So we'll get to that game. Honestly, last night, you can blame the refs. You can blame Carey Price. You can blame whatever you want, Habs fans. Ottawa outperformed Montreal all in all in the whole game and deserved to win.
Look, Ottawa just outworked Montreal last night. That's plain and simple. Yeah, Montreal has more skill, but Ottawa came to play, and Montreal didn't. It's as simple as that. Montreal turned it on at times, but yeah, Ottawa grinded out to win, and fair to them,
You know what? Guys are blaming Carey Price. Carey Price had 32 shots in 2 periods. So you're playing against the last place team, and you're allowing 32 shots in 2 periods of hockey, where I don't even know how many shots they got even in the last 5 minutes of the second. So it was like 30 shots in, 35 minutes? Or sorry, 25 minutes?
Good math.
35 minutes. 35 minutes. My math was right the first time. 35 minutes. I mean, that's just not good enough. And you know what? This is the way I saw it. It was 3-3 after the second. I was pissed off. I thought Ottawa should have been up. I thought they'd taken it to Montreal, and I was nervous. I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna lose this game. And we played great the first 2 periods because we've had so many games like that. It could have been 4-0 Ottawa at one point. I honestly think Carey Price made some big saves. Ottawa had a couple power plays. There were some big stops there. Yeah, he let in a couple weak ones. The Brandstrom one is tricky. I think he was a little bit screened on it. It was right on the ice, but it wasn't tricky. It was a sneaky, greasy goal. And the Tkachuk one, the 4th goal, that can't go in. No question. No question. But for Habs fans to simply blame this entire loss on Carey Price, you need to go look at yourself in the mirror, because you're allowing 32 shots in 2 periods against the last place team in the NHL. That's a joke, and you need to point fingers at the rest of the team. And you know what? The controversy goal, we might as well get to it. You want to get to that now?
Yeah,
I'm going to get to it now.
What are your thoughts on it?
I'm going to break it down, okay? I'm going to break it down. I don't give a shit what everybody thinks. I know I'm in favor of it because I'm a Sens fan. It is what it is. Honestly, though, when you watch these reviews, okay, pretty much everybody's always baffled. They don't always go the way you're planning. Last night I was watching, I said to my wife, this could go either way. I said, I don't know if they're going to call it one way or the other. I said, I don't know. It's one of those ones that could go either way.
Yep.
If you look at the play, the problem is all over social media last night. The biggest problem was the video review was slowed down. So now you're thinking, oh, look at all the time he's got.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When you watch it fast motion, it's 1, 2, 3, boom, goal. It's that quick. Yep. When you're watching it on video review, like they have it on Twitter and everywhere else last night, it's, oh, look at the time he's got. Look at the time. Oh, yeah, look, he should be up by now. He should be up. And then, oh, it's a goal. It's like double the time. So you guys have to remember that, okay? Second thing, Gallagher's comment. If I can get up, he should be able to get up. You are a player.
Yeah.
You don't have heavy pads on.
Mm-hmm.
And if that tip was put right into his spot, right in his location. If he doesn't tip it, it's no big deal. Still shot on net. The goalie has to make the save. So for you to comment and say, okay, I can get up, he can get up. No, that's wrong. If it was two players, I would say yes, but it's a goalie. Goalie's way more. Goalies got to track the puck. They got to get in their certain position. You're two different types of things. So here's the play I saw, and this is why I think it could have gone either way. Whether he gets pushed in or not, the ref saw it as that goalie interference happened. Now, we all know we can say, oh, the pushed in, push. We all know what Gallagher's doing. Gallagher's trying to get as close as he can to the goalie, maybe bumping him a little bit, doing whatever he can. That's his style of play, and I love it. But that's what he's trying to do, okay? He bumps the goalie. Murray gets spun around totally. If you look where Murray is, he's almost at the top of his crease before he gets bumped. He gets spun around. He's trying to gain composure. He's looking for the puck at the same time as he's trying to get back. Tipped over his shoulder. Oh, he's set. Okay. When that goal happened, I didn't know that there was any goal interference because you didn't see it when you're watching it live until after. I said to my wife, what the fuck is Murray doing? Why is he in this? Why is he in his net when the goal's going in? Why is he on the, he's literally on the goal line. I'm like, why is he on the goal line? Right? That was my first initial thought.
Yeah.
But why was he on the goal line? Because he was interfered with, because he got spun around and he didn't get set. The goalie to be set, in my opinion, is the same location he was before he was hit, which is about 3 or 4 feet out more. He was not. Could he have gotten out more, 3 or 4 feet, in like 2.5 seconds, maybe 3 seconds? Maybe. That's the only argument Montreal has. But for you to say definitively that he could is wrong.
Yeah.
There is an argument there. I'm not saying that the call is 100%. What I'm saying is the call could have gone either way. You could have said, oh, he had tons of time. I don't think he had tons of time. I think there's a chance he could have got out there, but there's also, you got bumped. He can't find the puck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if he doesn't get bumped, he's not in the location he was when the puck went in. Therefore, he's not back to where he was.
Yeah.
So in all, my opinion is the call could have gone either way. It is not automatically a non-goal, but it's not also automatically a goal. There's my opinion.
For sure. That's so close as a 50-50 play. I think you're going to see on review, right? It could really go either way. I think the key is the spinning of Murray, right? Like when he spins around, that disorients you a little bit, right? So as you spin, you lose track of where you are on the ice, and the puck goes from one side of the defense to the other on that play, right? So he comes in initially, I think he's looking out to Weber on that side, and it goes over to Schrott on the other side kind of thing. So, he is trying to pick up the puck. He does come out and see, he looks at Weber's side first, the puck's not there, and then that's kind of when the puck goes in, right? So I think the spin is a big thing. If Gallagher comes out and he just taps and maybe Murray falls, but he just kind of gets back up right away, he sees the puck. But as he spins, he loses complete track of where that puck is, right? So it's a tricky thing. And for Gallagher's comments too, I agree that they're two different players, right? Gallagher doesn't really need to track the puck in that situation, right? He's got to worry about is where Murray is. He's just got to worry about screening Murray. So he looks down, he sees, oh, Murray's over here. I'm going to go and cut his angle off. Murray can't react to that puck, right? So it's two different things. Gallagher and Murray are not the same. They're not in the same position in that play. Murray's got to, did Murray dog it? Could Murray have gotten play? I'm sure he could, but that's the risk you take when you run at the goalie, right? When you cut it that close, and Gallagher knows what he's doing, right? He makes a living in those dirty areas. He knows that when he hit, and Murray, so I'm sure Murray scouts this. Murray knows if Gallagher bumps me, I can take that extra second or two to get set because that's just kind of what he does, right? So Gallagher's pushing the limits, and it backfired on him, plain and simple on that one, Was the call right or wrong? I don't know. It could go either way, right? At the end of the day, they're still tied going to overtime, and Montreal cannot find a way to beat arguably one of the worst teams in the league. So I have no sympathy for Montreal or Gallagher on that play. It's just you get what you ask for in that situation. You cut it that close, you're definitely in the crease, being pushed or not, and that's the risk you take when you're going to get that close to the goalie as a guy like Gallagher too. And he has a reputation. The refs know that. So, and I'm sure Murray knew that too. He probably could have gotten in position a little quicker, but that's the game within the game kind of thing, right? So 50-50 play. Was it the right or wrong call? I don't know. Was it a screw job? Not even close.
Yeah, and for the guy saying, well, he could have gotten that position. He could have. How could you 100% say he could have, though? There's a chance he could have, but there's no way to say that 100% he should have been there, right? So I'm surprised that we actually agreed on this, buddy. But like we say, we're not saying it should have been a goal, but we're also saying it's not. We're saying it's a 50-50 play, guys, and it could have gone either way. And I know Habs fans are pissed. At the end of the day, Habs fans are trying to find every excuse they can. They're blaming Price. They're blaming the goal. Guess what? You've got to outperform 2 games in a row by arguably the worst team in the league, who's not going to end up being the worst team in the league. And I'll bet on that as well if you want. But they still, so guess what? Stop blaming things. Stop blaming the coach. Stop blaming Price. Stop blaming the refs. Start looking at yourself in the mirror and start finding ways to win. And that's what good teams do. And the Montreal Canadiens aren't doing it right now.
And what a bad break coming out of that play, too, for Claude Julien. So he comes out. If that goal counts, that's a 5-4 win. Montreal moves on, plays their next game. There's no controversy. Everyone's happy with a comeback win. So goal doesn't count. They come out losing a shootout. Next morning, Claude Julien, Kirk Muller fired. So that's a tough break. Just want to get into that now since we've touched on it.
Yeah, let's get into that. What's your thoughts on this firing here, buddy?
I'll start on that. So to me, this move kind of reeks of desperation, and it kind of feels like to me that Marc Bergevin's on the hot seat. Everyone kind of thought Montreal was going to be the first or second place team coming out of this North Division this year, just because of the additions they made. I think they had who'd they add? They had Toffoli. They bring in Edmondson
and Anderson.
Anderson, that's the guy I was looking for. Yeah. So everyone kind of comes out and says, "Oh, Montreal's going to be a threat this year." Well, Montreal's come out. They're on a slow start, and I think Bergevin's feeling pressure from the owners, right? So he comes out. They lose 3 or 4 games to Ottawa this year, who most people predict, no offense, Brokey, are going to be the worst team in the Northern Division at least, right? So they lose 3 or 4.
No, there's no offense. That's what everybody predicted. I predicted that myself.
Yeah. So they come out. They lose 3 or 4 to the worst team in the league, worst team in the division, and And I think the losses are I think they're more on Bergevin than the coach. Reason why I say this: Montreal has the second most penalty minutes in the league. That's the team Bergevin's put together. He brings in Anderson. He brings in Sherratt. He's got Weber. He's known for going out and getting these pest type guys. I know when they brought in Belleville boy Andrew Shaw, he said, I love that he's a pest. I love that he's a little grinder. They got Gallagher. They got this team that plays the grinding style game, and then they get penalized for it. So if you get penalized for it, no big deal. What do? You got to kill penalties. They're the 21 ranked team killing penalties this year. So if you're going to be the second most penalized team in the league, you better learn how to kill a penalty. That's probably why Muller's gone. I think that's on him. Also, their power play isn't going right now. So for Bergevin to come out and fire Julien off a loss like that, where they could have won with 4 seconds left, I think there's a lot of pressure on him right now. I think he knows that I think he was hired in 2012. So in the last 10 years, Bergevin hasn't really done anything with that team. There's been no noticeable improvement. They haven't had a number 1 center in God knows how long. And they've had the same problems that these come in. They haven't got out of the first round in 6 years. I'm thinking Bergevin's on the hot seat, and that's why this happens. And I don't know how you can blame Julien for it. Carey Price has a save percentage of under .900 this season. You want to see a good coach? Give him a good goalie. I think it's as plain as simple. Montreal's taking too many penalties. They're not getting saves when they need, and they can't kill a penalty. So, tough luck for Claude Julien. I hope he finds a job, but I'm thinking Bergevin might be the next guy in line to get fired here.
I'm trying to find a stat here, and I haven't found it. Maybe you can help me. How many times has Montreal played Vancouver this year? I think they swept them, but I think it's like 4 or 5, isn't it? And they dominated, right?
Okay.
Maybe we can find that stat. And here's what I'm getting at. Okay, Montreal stats: they have 9 wins, 5 losses, and 4 overtime losses. I think there's at least 3, 4, or 5 wins against Vancouver.
Vancouver 3 times. They beat them 3 times.
Only 3 times. Okay.
Yeah.
So without take the Vancouver out of it, who's a team they're lighting up, the only team they've really lit up this year. Okay. Yeah. They're 6, 5, and 4. 6 wins, 5 losses, 4 overtime losses. Okay. That's a terrible record. That's not a record of a great team. And Vancouver, to me, and I've said this all year, and I'm going to stick to it, is not a good team. They lost again last night. There's a chance Ottawa can beat them. There's a chance. If Ottawa didn't go 0-3, I would be 100%. I'd bet on it. But we'll get back to Montreal here. So I agree with you 100%. This is a panic mode. Montreal has not had success. Montreal was caught in the last summer. They're caught in the middle. Okay. Yeah. I think they're caught in the middle where do we rebuild? We've got Price, we got Weber, or do we reload? Mm-hmm. They chose reload. And they chose reload. I know one of the reasons is you got to remember they also beat out Pittsburgh. Yeah. Right? So they beat out Pittsburgh. That's tons of confidence.
Can I just jump up 1 second here?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think just going off that point, I think COVID maybe screws them in that regard. Because if you look before COVID, they're not in the playoffs. They only get in because they expand that playoffs, right? So they're in line for a top 10 draft pick. Then they come out, they beat Pittsburgh. They see Suzuki goes on a little run. They think, okay, We got a centerman.
That's our
we
man.
got Carey Price. We got Weber. We're going to go for a run. We're going to load up. So if COVID doesn't happen, I bet they probably are rebuilding. They're not going out there and signing these extra guys, and they don't have these expectations. So sorry to interrupt, but that's just what I think.
No,
Yeah.
but I'll go off of that, and I 100% agree with that. And here's another thing to go with it. So the couple of players that he brought in this year, I like. Josh Anderson, Toffoli, they're great. They're great. Their draft picks the last few years aren't even close. The Drouin trade, Drouin has like 2 goals this year, maybe 3.
Yep.
Like I think it's only 2. I think he's got like 2 goals, 3 assists. Like for a top player that you're hoping to be, he has been garbage. Like to me, that's garbage. Kotkaniemi, if I'm not mistaken, was 1 draft pick ahead of Brady Tkachuk. Am I right with that? And I think I am. Kotkaniemi, you're not even close to Brady Tkachuk.
No.
Brady Tkachuk's going to be the captain of the Ottawa Senators next year, and that was arguably one of his best games last night. He had 2 goals. He could have had more. He had a fight. He lost teeth. He lost a helmet. He had everything going on, but that's that Brady Tkachuk game. That's you put if you compare him against Kotkaniemi, every single player, every single GM in the league is going to take. Now, having said that, hindsight's 2020. But there you go. You could have taken him.
Yeah.
Right? Who's the other ones? Suzuki's not playing unbelievable. Nope. Right? Like if I look at Ottawa's young guys and I'm comparing it to a couple of young guys in Montreal, I'm thinking I'll take Ottawa's young guys all day. They're actually starting to produce here. Now I know they got off to a little bit of a slow start, but I'll take them. I like them better. So maybe it's your as your draft doing it. All the decisions, they all count. You can't sit there and say, well, look at the 2 guys I picked up, Toffoli and Anderson. They're doing unbelievable. I'm a great GM. No. That's one part of it.
Yeah.
It's drafting, it's trades, it's signings. It's coaches, it's everything. And now I don't even know how many coaches you've had. You've had a pile since he's been GM. He's on the hot seat.
Yeah, for sure.
If they don't turn this season around, he's on the hot seat. And you cannot sit there and blame it on Carey Price. Has Carey Price performed to be the best goalie in the league this year? No. But has he been the worst? Not even close, guys. Not even close. So the whole team itself needs to turn around. And they need to stop having excuses and blaming the refs, blaming the coaches, blaming the goalie. Stop blaming things. Start figuring it out yourself. And we'll see what happens with the coaching decision. Here's one thing too.
They have brought in a new coach. They brought in Dominic Duchard. I saw that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's won a Memorial Cup, I heard.
Yeah.
So apparently he's good with the young guys. Maybe that's his spin to start getting some of these young guys going. I hope it works out. But like you say, a lot of this stuff seems a little bit of panic mode. One thing, and just touch on Julian, I feel bad for the guy. I'm pretty sure he went through like heart surgery in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
So he's back. He's coaching with them during a pandemic, and they do have to travel, guys. You cannot tell me that's not a risk, right? Let alone your heart on a normal day as a coach.
Yeah.
And that's the life of a coach. Coaches get the biggest shit kicking out of any type of office job or player in any sport. Coaches are always getting blamed. At the end of the day, no matter how good of a coach you are, if your players don't perform, it's on you. And that's the fault. And that's what sucks. I've been there. I've seen it. I've outshot teams by 4. So every shot they get, you get 4, and you lose 1-0, and you blame the coach.
Yeah.
Guys don't score, they don't score.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I'm not blaming this on Julian. Could a coaching change work? Possibly, but I still think it's a panic mode.
I think it's panic mode too. Yeah, I think it's on Bergevin. The guys he's brought in Tatar. He's got Tatar and Byron. They're healthy scratches. They're 4th liners. Those are 2 guys he's either re-signed or brought in his tenure. So it's been the same. Montreal's had the same problem for the last 10 years. They don't have a driver up front. I think their best forward in the last 10 years have been Max Pacioretty. Nothing against Pacioretty. He's a first-line winger. You need a first-line center of some sort. You've had Carey Price for 10 years.
Pacioretty, I would kind of compare to like a Phil Kessel. Where
he's just a complimentary piece, right? Yeah.
Exactly, but if he's a complimentary piece, he's the 2nd or 3rd type of guy, type of forward, he can do well.
He's a guy that you need on every team. Everyone needs someone to score 30 goals on the wing, right? But, Bergevin's had plenty of chances to go out and get them a number 1 center. He's unwilling to pay the price it takes to do it. And now
he thought he was getting one in Duran, and they give up that D-man, didn't they?
Sergachev.
Yeah. Sergachev, I like him. He was great last year in the playoffs too.
And I don't know if you remember one of the worst trades in the salary cap era is when Bergevin brings in Scott Gomez for Ryan McDonough on a rookie deal. So Bergevin does not have a great track record on trades, right? So it's a guy that I think he's kind of known to be a little cheap in trade. He doesn't like to give up his prospect at the same time. there's not much capital prospect in that pool right now. I mean, I know they got Cole Caulfield, who's a good young prospect, dropped, I think he went top 10 this year, but that's all
that
they
was
got
last
really.
year, 2019. But
Yeah.
Cole Caulfield's a good player though, and
Yeah.
but he's another guy. He's a small guy. He's got to pan out, and he's a guy. I think he'll do okay. I don't think he's going to be your first line type of player. He could drop to second line. Could be solid.
Could be a patch ready.
Exactly. He could be like that, but he's not going to be your savior.
No,
He's not a Tim Stützle.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's what, but he's not. He's not. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think he's going to be that good. So let's leave it at Montreal. It's going to be interesting to see. We will touch base maybe in a week or so on how they're doing and if they change things around. But hey, thank you, Montreal, for the 2 wins. One thing I wanted to, excuse me, one thing I will touch on, just to get back to Leafs very, very quickly. Fleming and I got in an argument a few weeks ago, and he still thinks that, or he thinks that Matthews is the best player in the league, and I couldn't believe it. Most people won't say it. Matthews is playing unbelievable this year. There's no question about it. I still don't think he's the heart. I still think it's McDavid's. McDavid had 5 points on Saturday night. I will say this, though. This is my opinion only, but I'm going to say it. When I worded it, I said there's McKinnon and McDavid, and then there's in that tier, and then there's a whole other tier with Matthews, Crosby, Ovechkin, Kane, all those types. Matthews has now made the top tier.
For sure.
So
100% he's top tier.
He's made the top tier.
If for whatever reason
it's hard to judge. Yep. Sorry. Go ahead.
If you were going to do an expansion, not expansion, just say everyone in the league comes up for grabs and you're starting teams from scratch, who are you taking number? Matthews is probably going top 2. Does he go over McDavid? I don't know.
Top 2 or 3.
He is in that tier, right?
Top 3. It's hard to judge McKinnon's play this year because he's played like 8 less games because of COVID, and he's still done unreal. He had 3 points on Saturday night, and that was an outdoor game with awful ice.
Yeah.
So
did you see?
But I will say, I mean, I think probably a lot of our fans are going to agree with us that those 2-3 are ahead of everybody else right now in the league. I still like Crosby. I like Ovechkin. I think Ovechkin's the best goal scorer of all time. But right now his game isn't in those top 3.
Yeah. I think if I was picking from those 3, I'd honestly, and this is not a homer, I think I'd take Matthews just because of different ways he can score, right? I mean, he's a guy like Ovechkin. If his speed, like if McDavid's speed goes, he's going to be in trouble a little bit more, right? Matthews isn't, he's fast. He's not known for speed though, but he can score so many different ways, right? He can score from the top of the circle at the blue line. I mean, if you want a guy to come out and score you 40 or 50 goals every year, I think he's going to be that guy over the next 10 years that does that.
Well, it's definitely debatable, but I will give you an edge on that one and say that he has made the top 3. So congratulations to Austin Matthews.
Let's just go into that. I heard you say something about McKinnon, and we were going to talk about their outdoor game anyway. So let's just jump into this.
Yeah.
Did you see that clip where McKinnon's coming down on Pietrangelo and he's got a head of steam? Just oh boy, how funny is that?
Yeah, Pietrangelo is one of the best defensemen in the league.
I know, eh?
That was awesome, and that's just how good he is. I mean, those 3 players are just they're in their own league.
Yeah,
they are, and on any given day you could take any of them and you'd have a great team, and all 3 teams are doing well. Edmonton's doing way better than people predicted, but more than I predicted. I didn't even think they'd make the playoffs, but they're doing awesome right now, and they are really only a 2-horse team. But the McKinnon, oh, that kid can skate. Eh?
Could you imagine a line in the Olympic next year?
He's more powerful than the other ones too, right?
Yeah. Could you imagine line in the Olympic next year with McDavid and McKinnon together? Holy, that's got to be the fastest line the world's ever seen. Like, oh my God.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know.
Put Marner up there with him, but put Marner up there with him, maybe.
Yeah. You never know.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know how it's going to play. I was just thinking.
I hope that Olympics goes. We'll talk about that in another show, but so maybe we'll talk into the outdoor show or the outdoor weekend there. Awesome setting. I really enjoyed it. It doesn't look like they planned it out too well, though. I mean, the ice was just slush midday on Saturday, and it looked like where they had a lot of the darker printed prints and advertisements and whatnot made it look really, really bad, and they end up having to run the games in the evening and night because there's a little the sun wasn't as bright and a little cooler. You know what? I look at that and I go, nice try. It wasn't bad, but let's get this to Lake Louise in Canada and let's put on a show, because Lake Louise would make that one look like a Pee-wee team.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it was a good thought. It was a beautiful scene. I mean, I'd love to play out there, but I mean, poorly planned out, right? When the sun comes out, the ice gets chippy, and but that isn't the first time an outdoor game's had to get pushed back or delayed, right? So I mean, it is what it is. It's a gamble when you go outside, and it didn't work out for the NHL this weekend, but still a great couple games.
I didn't realize that the lake wouldn't be frozen. I honestly thought it'd be like these guys are boating around and there's people wearing t-shirts. So I'm going, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I think it was around +1 or something. I could be wrong on that, but definitely not what I was expected. But I still like the game. I still enjoyed it. But I think the NHL has to look at going to Lake Louise. If you guys haven't seen that in Canada, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I haven't been there myself. I do plan on going in the future. We were actually looking at going this winter, but COVID hit. So I think they can put it right on the ice. And the mountains are closer, so they're bigger. Oh, that would be phenomenal. And then from there, maybe go to Alaska, Mystery Alaska.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, that'd be another really cool spot. But good job by the NHL on at least doing something, especially with this COVID year. Great job for at least putting an effort in.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
So maybe, let's just try Jeff Skinner. We talked about him the other day on how big of a disappointment. Jeff Skinner is making $10 million this year. His cap hit's $9 million, which is his average over his contract. $10 million. He was a healthy scratch on Monday's game and last night, Tuesday. So you're a healthy scratch 2 games in a row. You're making $10 million. Unbelievable. He has to be the biggest disappointment now, excuse me, for an NHL player this year. Buffalo did win. They lost Monday night, but they did win last night. Maybe they can turn around a little bit, but that's disappointing.
Look, that's a contract, and I said this last week, that's a contract that can set your franchise back a decade borderline. I mean, if you've got an $80 million salary cap, and this guy's sitting there at 9, he's taken up 10%, more than 10% of your salary cap. Like, that's just something that's not going to fly, right? I mean, but if he keeps this up, he's got 1 point this year. If there's no compliance buyouts agreed to in the new CBA or anything because of COVID, the NHL always makes changes because the cap is flattening out. So maybe they give Buffalo compliance or the league of compliance and they buy out Skinner. But I see no way right now how you get rid of this contract. I mean, that's going to be a boat anchor tied to that franchise for the next 7 years if he doesn't improve.
I agree with you. And if it doesn't improve this year, you're Jack Eichel. What are you doing? I mean, they've been talk about Jack wanting out the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And this kid is phenomenal. I think, and they brought in Taylor Hall this year, and it's like, I said this earlier. I thought Buffalo was going to be a team. I didn't know if they'd make the playoffs, but at least be there. Whether it's one team out or whatever it is, a couple points out or making it. Taylor Hall is a great player. And they're nowhere close. I think they're last place in that division. They need to have a turnaround. There's still lots of time, and there's a chance that they could turn around, but they can't have a $9 or $10 million guy sitting in the stands, or when he plays, get 1 point every 15, 20 games. It's unbelievable. So
and that contract is going to limit how much they can offer other players too, like Taylor Hall. What's Taylor Hall going to say this year if he puts up, a point a game? Let's say he just puts up 56 points.
Yeah.
He comes in, he says, well, I want 11 million from Buffalo because you're paying Skinner 9. It's just going to set a difficult negotiation for everyone on that team. The next guy that comes up, they're going to say, I offer Casey Middlestat. I'll just pull him out. I'll offer you 4.5. Well, Skinner's making 9, and I'm better than him. I get more points than him. I play more than him. It's going to put them in such a tough spot. And I don't you'd probably have to attach 3 or 4 first-round picks just to unload that contract.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with that. I mean, hopefully he can turn it around. He was good the last couple of years, obviously, to get that contract, but we'll have to watch that in the next upcoming weeks.
Yeah, and a guy with concussion problems too, but we'll monitor that one for sure.
Yeah. So another one off topic. I'm sure everybody's already heard this, but we'll touch on it. Tiger Woods was in a car crash yesterday. He was the only car, and I believe he was the only person in the car. It was a terrible crash. There was a bunch of flips. I think he went across and hit the median or whatever happened there. Yeah. He had to have the jaws of life come out to help him. And I believe his ankle was shattered and both his legs were broken. He had to have surgery on his legs. Yesterday, I heard he is doing well, but this is not good news for the golf world. This could be the end of his career. It's very unfortunate, but I mean, for anybody to even come close to not even just playing again, but being on top, especially at his age, it's very, very unfortunate because I know he's a huge fan favorite.
Yeah.
I wish him the best, but geez, I would really like to know what happened there. It's crazy.
Another thing people haven't talked about very much too is he's only 2 months removed from back surgery too, right? And I think that's probably his 3rd or 4th. So what does a wreck like that do to your back? I mean, I know you just had surgery, but that's something that's still healing. So, it could be the end for Tiger. This is he doesn't have a good history with cars, so I don't know.
No, he's been in a couple things. There was a thing there with his wife, and I mean, I think I look in the positive. That, like they say, that this could have been fatal. So thank God it's not. And he's still around. And I mean, it was just over a year ago where where the helicopter, we lost Kobe. So, I mean, that was obviously devastating in its own, and thank God Tiger is still around. So we do wish him the best from the Battle of Ontario, the Blue Club here. So best wishes, Tiger.
Get well, Tiger.
Another thing going on is Belleville Senators have finally announced Belleville and the Toronto Marlies have finally came agreement with the Ontario Health government, or whatever it's called, Health Ministry. Belleville has decided, the Belleville Senators have decided to play games, the rest of the remainder games this year in Ottawa. No surprise coming from here. There was no chance there was going to be fans anyways. So if you already have players going up and down from Ottawa to Belleville, why not keep them all in Ottawa? You already have all your stuff there. You've got all your training staff. To me, it's a no-brainer. I know there would be some people from Belleville not liking it, but guys, this is a no-brainer. I mean, all the other AHL teams, even Stockton, I think they're called, they went to Calgary this year. They play in that's California, I think.
Yeah.
Montreal is playing, Laval is playing in Montreal. They're using the same facility. Toronto's obviously already in Toronto, but these guys are using the same facilities. So I think it's a no-brainer. No point to being in Belleville, even if, there's not going to be any fans anyways. There could be some people out of a job, but I don't see that many people out of a job because the rinks are going to be open in Belleville soon anyways. So I don't really see it that much of a negative. So anyways, we'll have to watch for that. Hopefully cheer on our Belleville Senators for the remainder of this year.
Yeah, guys, let's just get through this year. I mean, 2020 was a bad year. We're hopefully getting over the hump, and by the time next hockey season rolls around, hopefully we have the Sens back in Belleville and we can all go out and enjoy again.
Yeah, guys. So we are getting better. It has been an awful year. It's coming up. We're over 11 months now. So anyways, just a couple funny memories maybe I'll touch on here. So this past week, I believe it was Monday was the 1-year anniversary.
I knew you were going with this.
Zamboni driver beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I have to rub that into the Toronto Maple Leafs fans. Remember when a Zamboni driver, David Aries, beat the Toronto Maple Leafs for Carolina? That was one hell of a night. That was pretty funny. And I thought it was hilarious and awesome. And it's funny when a goalie like that comes in, and it wasn't necessary that Toronto, the rest of their team just played unbelievable. Carolina.
Before you get to your next story, I got a story about this.
Yeah. And then I have another story just to go on. I remember my bachelor party, not one of my bachelor parties. I only had one. But, we went to Montreal, and Jarrett Tanner was our goalie, and he got hurt. And the last game was the only game we won. Did we win it or we tie it? Anyways, the only game we tied or won. And we were drinking a lot that tournament. Anyways, Tanner got hurt. And guys were blocking shots. Guys were playing unbelievable. It's the best game we played the whole tournament because we didn't have a goalie, right? So guys knew they had to play better. So it's kind of like that, and that's what happens in sports, right? You have to sometimes you find ways to elevate your game. And, we don't have a goalie, or we got a Zamboni driver as a goalie. Yeah. We got to play unbelievable. And then Carolina did that. So, I mean, it's still shitty on Toronto. Like, that's unbelievable. But yeah,
this Zamboni driver situation too. One, cost me a lot of money. I don't remember. That was the night when Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, was fighting Deontay Wilder. It's like the biggest heavyweight boxing match that's been in like a decade. So I was pumped for that. So as soon as I think the Leafs are down like 4-1-2 when Ayers comes in, and I hammered the Leafs to come out. I think Engvall scores at the end of the second period. I hammered the Leafs coming to third. Of course they lose, but it's not a big deal because the fights happen that night. I'm all jacked up for the fight. I got some people over, and the fight was really good. I had some money on Fury. Fury wins. So going into Monday, going back into the work week, I'm completely over this David Ayers thing. It's like I got no one at my work is a hockey fan or a sports fan either, right? Like it'll never come up in a million years. So I get there. It's 7:00 in the morning. I'm feeling good. I got a coffee, and my boss walks in, who I haven't talked a single thing about sports with in 7 years, and she goes, "Brendan, did the Leafs really lose to a Zamboni?" Like, well, fuck me. Like, I thought I was over this bullshit. And oh my God, I was rattled the rest of the day too.
Well, that's how fast the news spreads, right? Yeah, like, especially with the Leafs and, Zamboni driver, like a Zamboni. Now, he did have some experience, but he was also like 42 years old. But he did practice with the team and stuff. It wasn't like just some Joe Blow came in and didn't even know what the hell
I think the last game he played was like 7 years ago. And it was like in the seniors men league, and he lost like 9-3 or something like that. So,
but he does practice with them the odd time, or the Marlies or whatever. So he had a little bit of experience, but he sure had no chance of making the NHL. So, and then I'll just going to get into my second story. Tuesday, so excuse me, yesterday was the 14th anniversary of the brawl between the Buffalo Sabres and the Ottawa Senators. Do you guys remember that? Where who's the goalie there?
Emery.
Emery
and
fought
Peters.
a big fight. Emery and Peters.
Yeah.
And like, man, there was a ton of fights. I think Skreza fought. Like everybody fought.
That's a Heatley. I think
I posted that on our Facebook yesterday. I think it was yesterday. So have a look, guys, if you're listening. It's not the best quality because again, it was 14 years ago, but it's hilarious. And that was, I mean, I don't those brawls don't happen anymore. So I thought I'd just bring it up. I think the fans would like it and have a watch anyway. So
how crazy is Ray Emery? He goes in. So Peters grabs hold. Peters is like a legit NHL heavyweight. I watched the video.
Yeah.
Emery is smiling ear to ear the whole time. He's getting punched out. He's just got a huge grin on his face. And oh my God, Emery's a nut bar. I think he's been in like 5 or 6 fights. There's this one dude. I don't know if anyone remembers a guy named, I think it was not McGrattan, but Brian Grattan, I think his name is. Or anyway, in the AHL, Emery fights this guy with like no time left, a legitimate goon. And they honestly got to go toe to toe for like 40 seconds. It was crazy. Just a nut bar.
Yeah, he was tough as nails. I think he'd probably go down as definitely one of the toughest goalies in the history of the NHL.
I do remember.
And the funny part was, like you say, like he's fighting one of the toughest guys in the league.
Yeah.
And he's a goalie. He's got more equipment on, and he's smiling. He loved every minute.
He's the toughest guy on the ice.
Rest in peace, Ray Emery. But so good for him.
Yeah.
What else we got, bud?
I want to talk about
we
had that Panarin situation we want to talk about, right? I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah. Let's hear about Panarin, and then we'll move on to the guest guys. So
okay, yeah, we do have a guest coming up, and we'll talk about after this. So anyway, so Artemi Panarin, probably one of the best wingers in the NHL, right? Some allegations surfaced about him having an incident where it was alleged he assaulted a girl in a nightclub or at a bar when he was playing in the KHL in Russia. This event did come out through Russian media, and Panarin has been an outspoken critic of Vladimir Putin. So we're not really a political show, but long story short, Putin's been in power in Russia for decades at this point, right? And his main rival was he got poisoned. I don't know how, but anyway, his main rival was poisoned. He went to Germany to recover, and he comes back and he gets put in jail for, I believe, a couple months from the Russian government. Panarin comes out on social media and supports the Putin's rival. And within the next couple of weeks, there's a story released in the Russian media that these allegations come out. The Rangers and Panarin deny them. They say they're completely unfounded. It was actually brought up by an ex-NHLer, Andrei Nazarov, a guy who was Panarin's coach at that time. So, no one wants to get into it. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty, I guess we'll say. But, Nazarov is willing to sit on this horrible secret for 12 or 13 years until it suits him to come out. And so it does seem politically motivated. And we hope Panarin and his family is safe. I know things are kind of the Wild West in Russia. So we hope everything's okay there and he comes back and is ready to play soon.
Maybe I'm just going to say one thing. If you have no idea how fucked Russia is.
Yeah.
Okay. Russia is the most corrupt country in the world. I've met a lot of Russians and they all tell you the same thing. I mean, even guys that play in the KHL, you have no idea what goes on there. You think stuff that Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau are doing are bad.
Mm-hmm.
Times that by a fucking 1,000.
Yeah.
I mean, Putin is one of the richest guys in the world. He's worth on paper, I believe, 600 billion.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Billion, 600 billion on paper. How much more do you think he has that's hidden? I mean, This guy's, if not the richest guy in the world, one of the richest guys in the world. How? He doesn't own Microsoft. He doesn't own Apple. What's the deal? You know what I mean? So, and he worked for the is it the KGB or whatever it was before coming into the office.
I'm not sure what
so
that.
He went from like making what, maybe $1 million a year, maybe, to what, 600 billion once he's the president. Come on. And you know what? This Russian stuff, like when I was talking to Russians over and when I was in Philippines, and they said, and this is a lawyer, and he said, listen, we put on a show. We have the Olympics. We put on a show like we are one of the top countries in the world. He goes, we are we're not. He goes, we put on this show. We spend all these billions of dollars. He goes, we have more homeless people than you can think of.
Yeah.
But they hide it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all hidden.
Yeah.
I mean, the leagues, it's more corrupt. It's crazy. And like you say, if you go against it, something happens to you, and we're not going to sit there and we're not going to get in political too much. But I know that there's a lot more things that happen behind the scenes than way more than happens in Canada and the States. So I just wish the best for Panarin. He's one hell of a hockey player. Hopefully they can figure it out. Maybe get his family over here, stay the hell away, become an American. I don't care. I would like to go to Russia one day, but I'll tell you, I know guys that have played in the KHL and everything else, and they even tell you there, it's not like playing in Canada or the States.
I bet you put this video on the internet.
You might not get paid.
Yeah, I bet you put this video on the internet and you go into Russia, your passport's getting flagged. You're going into jail or something like that just for this.
It's nuts.
It makes you appreciate how, there's a lot of, everyone has bad thoughts about politicians in Canada and the US, right? It really makes you, thankful to be in a place like Canada where you can say, Trudeau's not the greatest or he's not bright, but, there's no consequences for you doing that. You can put that on online or anywhere and, there's no blowback. So we are lucky to be where we are. And because some places it is like the Wild West, guys.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's all we'll touch on it, but maybe it's something we'll follow. Well, we're definitely going to follow it and see what happens in the upcoming weeks as well. So, maybe we'll get to our guest, buddy. So we've got a phenomenal guest. I know there's a lot of Belleville Bulls fans out there. Here he is, Michael Renzi. He puts on a show. It was an awesome interview. We did this last week, and we've been teasing you guys for the last 4 days, releasing one clip a day. It is pretty funny. It doesn't get offside, so don't worry, guys. But it is pretty funny, and we do have plans to have him back, possibly even another guy on the show at the same time in the upcoming months. So yeah.
Yeah, guys, tune in. It's a great interview. It's tons of fun for the Bulls fans. There's lots of stories about the Bulls run the Memorial Cup in '99. It is a great interview, lots of laughs, and we thank Mike for coming on. So without further ado, let's get to the Michael Renzi interview. All right, guys, this man needs no introduction. He was part of the greatest hockey team the city of Belleville has ever assembled. He was an OHL champion. He is part of one of the most memorable lines in Belleville Bulls history, a top 20 scorer all time for our Bulls. During his time with Belleville, this man topped out at 175 pounds, but he did not take any shit from anybody. He's a man with one of the biggest hearts and balls the size of King Kong himself. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greatest Belleville Bulls of all time, number 9, Mike Renzi.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. What a great introduction. Hey, did you guys hear that, Kimberly? You heard that, eh? My girlfriend, you got to get that on record. This is recorded, eh, everybody?
There you go. There we go.
You want to know something?
Hey, I got some. I don't know if you guys had this, but I got to do it. Did you guys have these back then, or
no, we didn't have them because
I found this. I got to bring it on.
No, brother, we had the big red tubes.
Oh,
like they were horns, right?
Yep.
But listen, you want to hear something funny? No word of a lie. I never weighed. My first year I weighed 144, and my last year I weighed 155. I you know what I would do? You know what I would do? I swear to God. So the NHL scouts would come to weigh us, okay? And my brother-in-law worked for a mechanic shop, we'll say. And I used to tape some sort of things for cars, but on my thighs, inner thigh, outer thigh, and on my back and stomach.
I love that.
To get up to 175. Yeah, no joke.
Give you another 20 or 30 pounds.
Yeah, it was different back then, though. When I played, right? It was bigger boys and everything.
Oh, totally different. I mean, we can. Well, what do you want to do, Flem? Do you want to maybe just tell us a little bit about your story, maybe leading up to Belleville, and then as a kid?
I just kind of want to know what it was like playing in Mississauga. Like you were drafted pretty high, right? Like you were a 4th round pick. So were you always one of the best players in your local town, or?
Fourth round. So I always played at Toronto. I played for the Toronto Red Wings, and a story you don't hear too often. So when I was playing for the Red Wings, it was about my Pee Wee year. So I would have been like 5 years in. Top line, like I'm not bragging, but top line right winger, whatever. Yeah. And then the owner's grandson made a move to Toronto. So he took my spot, and then everybody complained, So I went back to the top line. He went to the 3rd, and then he got sent away or something. So all I remember is walking into the dressing room. Okay, this is when I was 13 or 14. Okay, so I walk into the dressing room, Chestwood Arenas, and I see him. And I walk right back out. I say, Dad, I'm done. 13 years old, Toronto Red Wings AAA hockey. And he goes, okay. And what they did was, so it wasn't a trade, but it was a release of the Toronto Marlies captain. I'll never forget. He wanted a release. So Toronto Marlies said, we'll give you the release only if we get Renzi from the Red Wings, if they release him. So it was almost like a trade. Like it was that weird. Yeah. So then I went to Toronto Marlies. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I went to the Toronto Marlies, and then we were affiliated with a Tier 2 team called the Calvin Canadians. And that's where my career really took off. I played for a coach named Greg Ireland, and he made me the player that I was. It was, I mean, you're playing at 16 years old with 20-year-olds, and it was the best at that time Tier 2 team you could play for. And it was just what a great experience. But that's where like I was running goalies, like going to the stands, and it was insane. Like I'm telling you, like
not like now.
Well, yeah, I had I think 51 points in 48 games with 215 PIMs as a 16-year-old. Like it was, it was insane. And then how I got drafted was I thought I'd be going to North Bay, and then I thought for sure because the owners of Caledon became the owners of Brampton for the expansion year. So I thought, I'm going to Brampton, you know. And I played in a prospect tournament in Toronto, and Floyd Crawford, everyone knows him, and Mike came up to me.
Yeah.
And it's a lot different now, fellas. Like now, like kids tell you where they want to go. When I was playing, you went where you got drafted. It was not like, oh, I'm not going to go to the Sioux because it's far. It's like, I'm going to the Sioux. Like,
so, or you're not playing. Yeah.
That's it. It's as simple as that, you know? Yeah. So then Floyd and Mike came up to me. They just said, if we draft you, will you come? I said, absolutely. Never heard from them again. Never answered a questionnaire like I did with 10 other teams. Really? Fourth round, they took me. And that was it. The rest was history. Yeah. The big rink helped, Like, but I was never
for sure.
I know this is a funny story, but when I was younger, the big rinks, like I sucked because I was always like a grinder, Like I liked bumping and grinding. I was never a big rink player, kind of until I went to Belleville, and then it was a huge advantage. Huge.
Well, it's definitely huge to adapt to it too, right? And like I remember seeing guys that would go even after you, but Coburg had a little bit of affiliate in like the early 2000s. Yeah. Coburg had like one of the smallest rinks there was back then.
Absolutely.
And then they go to Yardman. It's like Fort Hope too. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, that's a huge adapt, right? Because you used to be in the corners all the time, battling with guys, and all of a sudden now you have so much space.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're kind of lost, right? People don't understand that. Like, you're hockey guys, so you get it. Another thing I don't know if you guys know about the Yardman, but even though you have an Olympic size ice, everything's still symmetrical, the dots and everything. Not at the Yardman. If you looked at the Yardman before, okay, the circles, the hashes were right against the boards. So the goalies would, you know, like a goalie would line up to the dots to cut off his angles. You couldn't the Yardman because the circles were all the way to the edge of the boards. Yeah. I don't know if you guys ever do that. But if you ever look at an old video, okay, you'll see that the circles are literally, you're right against the boards.
So, Mike, do you mind if we jump into the Bulls a little bit? I know.
Please do.
I think, one of the most famous things that happened in town was the Bulls winning the Memorial Cup in 98, 99, right? So can you walk us through that playoff run? Like, I know you guys beat Sudbury round one, right? OHL, sorry.
OHL Cup, yeah.
Yeah. So, you guys, you beat Sudbury round one, but then you beat Ottawa in round two, right? And Ottawa was supposed to be the team that year, right? They had the automatic berth in Memorial Cup. So
absolutely.
Once you get past Ottawa, what are you guys thinking?
I personally was thinking we're going to steamroll over Oshawa. I can't remember. I think it was either 4-0 or 5-1, but Oshawa was like we owned them during the season. Like, so once we got through Ottawa, it was like, okay, we're going. You know, like Oshawa, sometimes you just have a team's number. Yeah. You know, you guys are hockey, you guys know the way it goes, right? And we just had Oshawa's number the whole year. Yeah, they had a good goalie. They had Ty Gardner, I think his name was, the goalie. But other than that, they were not a deep team at all, and they couldn't play. So again, going back to the rink guys, I think it's a lot easier personally to adjust to a smaller rink than to a big rink. So Oshawa had one of the smallest, and in my opinion, the best rink I've ever played in, the auditorium. But they geared their team just like Peterborough did to their arena.
Yeah.
Right. So once these teams like St. Mike's and Oshawa and Peterborough came to Belleville, it was a big advantage. Yeah.
Yeah, that home ice is huge, isn't it?
Yeah. And then came London, right? I got the assignment to shadow Rico Fata. And when I'm telling you, like, I mean, I was obsessed. Like, I thought about that guy day in and day out. He was Italian. I was Italian. I was jealous. He was just like, you know what I mean? Like, like I wanted, it was simple. I just wanted to hurt him. Like I stuck him every chance I could. I did everything I could to do my part for the team. Right. But again, going into that arena though, like going into London's arena, it was hell. It was hot. The dressing rooms were gross. Like it was disgusting. And they had guys that wanted to hurt you, like Metcalf and Erskine. Like there's guys that want to slash you, and then there's guys that want to like break bones when they slash you. And all I remember is Metcalf being one of them, Erskine, and then Brian Allen from Oshawa.
Brian Allen too. I remember he had a good NHL career.
And it's totally different now. Like now that's all out of the game, right? Like
it's out of the game.
Well, these guys are whacking like that. They're in the penalty box, and guys are scoring on the power play. The game's totally changed.
I don't think I could even play now. You know what I mean? My game was so much of the behind the scenes and the dirty work just to survive. But again, it's hard to say because I had to like fight for every like inch of ice. And if you look at our kid line. And Newberry, the same thing, right? Like, you know, we had to battle for every inch, and now I don't think there's as much battling, right? I think it's more free flow. So I don't know if that was really my game. Like, even though I'm a smaller guy, people always say like, "Oh, Renz, if you were playing now, you would have had a better chance." But that really wasn't my game. You know, I liked getting in the corners, right?
Even because that was when you're 17, right? Even when you're 19, 20, when you're putting up big numbers, playing with Robinson and all that. You still don't think that it would have benefited you playing now? Like you think back then was better for you, eh?
I think back then
I wouldn't have thought that.
I still had over 100 PIMs, eh? Like I love getting into it. And one of the things, like if it was my second ex-wife read something when we got into an argument once, she Googled me and it said, when I was playing one of my million semi-pro teams, said Renzi loves to get under the skin of his opponents. Yeah. Right, like that's what I really enjoyed being like a rat. You know, it was a role that I loved, and obviously, even my last year, 100 points. That was great. I mean, anybody can get 100 points playing with Robinson Stadium. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah. But I also had over 100 PIMs, I think, too. Right, so I would never shy away from that part of the game. It's just not who I am. Right, by no means was I a tough guy. Like I mean, by no means was I a fighter. But I just loved you love
the grindiness and it's Absolutely. Funny how you say that when you're a small guy like that, because typically that's someone that's a little bigger, right, and that doesn't weigh 145 or 50 pounds.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like so, yeah. I mean,
but I get it from my mother, right? She's crazy, eh? So I get it from my mother.
So I got a quick question while we're here because I don't want to bring anything bad up, but so. Did you not get married one time at center ice at the
I did.
Was that the second wife or no?
That was my second.
So how did you talk her into that? Like I don't know. Someone told me that, and I'm like, that's a cool story.
So how that worked was, we were both coming out of bad marriages. Like they ended bad, like really bad. So then she had the big Italian wedding. I got married. Like you think that's a funny story? My first wedding, you'll never guess where that was. That was me and Amber. We had to be in Columbus, Georgia to play for the Columbus Cottonmouths. We went to Windsor, to go get my visa. You know, they always say pull over, you know, to get my visa and everything. They go, who's this? I'm like, oh, she's my common law wife. Nope. And I go, what do you mean? So she's only staying for a month. They're like, no, she's not. The car's full. I go, but I got to be in Atlanta. Like Columbus, you know, in a day and a half. I'm in Windsor. What do you want me to do? Turn around and get married. Turned around.
Oh, no way.
Courthouse, $334. Married. Yeah.
And the same day?
But same. It was in hours. Yeah.
No way.
And believe it or not, so when I got traded, so I went to Columbus, and then a team after that, I was talking to a guy, and another guy had to do the same thing to get his girlfriend over. Yeah. If you get the wrong border security guard, right? Like they're not just going to let somebody come over for 6 months. They know you're there for the season. But yeah, so my second wedding, we couldn't have the big Italian wedding like that. You can't have that again.
You'd already done it.
She'd already done it. You know, it was our second marriage, and we thought, what better way to celebrate? We just had a few people there, and it went It went really well. You know, like it was an exciting time. I always had thanked Christina for allowing me to do that. You know, she was 8 months pregnant at the time, and that was another reason. We wanted to be married. Like me, I didn't care about her family in the old school Italian. They wanted to be married before Rocco was born.
Okay.
But that was a great memory for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Like, you know, getting married at the rink. So, and especially like you say, for her to allow that, good on her. Because even though it's a second wedding, not every girl would do that.
Well, you want to know a funny story?
Well, I
like,
think it's awesome. I think
like this might be a little bit of TMI, but who cares? You guys got me on. So at one of my court appearances, that they wanted to kind of limit my time at the rink, and the judge said, "I Googled you guys. You guys got married at the rink. Michael lives at the rink. Like I'm not like that's where he belongs. So that's how important the rink is to me."
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. For sure, right? And I think we all kind of feel like that too. Like, you know, you get away from it for a while and you're like, just like even the COVID when hockey was away, like, and it still is kind of in a sense, right? But it's like you're missing something, right? You're missing something in your life. Like, I want to go to the games. And you helped out with the Belleville Sens. I don't know if you did last year, but was it last year?
Helped out the Boston a couple years ago, which that was fantastic. But the biggest thing is like a lot of people have questioned me. I'll never forget one guy came up to me like, so I do timekeeping for
that's
kids, house league, anything. No, I do like minor hockey timekeeping. Okay, like $12 a game. I think the highest you make is like 30. Okay, $30 for an hour and a half, right? So it's not about the money. So one guy comes in and goes, Renz, you either need the money or you hate your wife. You know what I mean? He goes, one of the two. But I'm saying to my new girlfriend now, because we've met during COVID. I said, you have no idea like what my life really is. Like in the wintertime, it's all about the rink. Like there's no place I'd rather be than on a Friday night, timekeeping house league for $12 an hour with my son, 2 games, midget hockey, because you're involved back with the game. Okay. Yep. The refs, I know everybody, the coaches, you're talking. Rocco's, my son's playing mini hockey. Where else would you rather be on a Friday night for a couple hours? Right.
That's a good point too, right? Like it's, you know, everybody, it's not just about going to a game and sitting there, you know, you're seeing all these old faces and everybody.
So I love it. People
it's like your common thing, right? It's like, you know, some people got to go to the bar every Friday night because they're going to see the same people. Well, yours is a different way. It's going to the rink.
You're right. I never heard that. You're totally right. That's it, eh? That's exactly what it's like. The rink guys, right? I love them all. And I said to Kim, I go, a huge part of my social life is the rink. You know, like it really is. And I'm very fortunate enough to work for Belleville Minor Hockey and do that, you know, and then they're great people. And I love being around kids hockey too. So it's awesome.
Yeah. And for sure. Well, maybe I'll just ask we'll talk one thing on that just because it kind of goes with that. Now you coached Quinny with Matt Goody one year, didn't you? Or you were Quinny a little bit or something, right?
Yeah, I was assistant coach with him. And then I took over the team the next year. Got fired, I think it was like November, and you know, I hate to say this, you know, but it was, God, how am I going to say this? Okay, as hockey players, it was a team of losers, and I'm saying that not in personality, but they didn't hate to lose. Yeah. Okay, I knew I was done with the team when we were in London for a tournament. We were getting our asses kicked by the London team. And the Hunter brothers made it very evident that they were there because they were standing on the glass. So we come in after the second period. We come in after the second period. We are getting shit kicked. Coming after the second period, the intermission speech was very simple. Do whatever the hell you got to do to be noticed from the Londonites. That's who these guys. They are letting you know that they're there to watch you. You now let them know that you want to be noticed by them. I said, do whatever you got to do. Okay. And I mean, like I was saying, like, you got to do whatever you got to do. Okay. And I said, the Hunter brothers are the Hunter brothers. Okay. And I went a little bit more explicit. And nobody did anything. And after the game, everybody's laughing in the room and everybody's joking like we didn't lose. And it was embarrassing for me. It didn't work out. The kids were, again, great kids and everything, but they didn't enjoy winning like I did, and they didn't hate losing like I did. So, you know.
Well, when you look at certain teams, and I've played on winning teams and bad teams, and there's certain quantities in the players or qualities in the players where if there's reasons why they're winning. It's not just because they're good skills or can shoot.
No,
they know how to win. They have that in them. They'll do that extra drive. Whether
Absolutely.
it is maybe they're not playing their greatest game, but you know what? They're starting making big hits or they're looking at little face-offs. They're into the game. They're ready to fucking do it. Where losing teams will only go so far, and then it's okay to lose.
It's a game.
We lost. It's over. We'll play tomorrow, guys. It's fine.
Yeah.
I fucking hated that. That drove me nuts.
That's right.
And the only guys that go. The guys that go any farther are none of those guys that are used to losing will go anywhere. Doesn't matter how many points you got. You'll never make the NHL if you're okay with losing. That's it.
No, it's that
simple. So what you're saying is true. And even if you're down by 5 goals, let's say, and you got scouts there, go do something. Maybe
do
get noticeable.
something.
Do something. Get in front of the goalie. Like I'm a big Sens man. I'm wearing a Sens hat. Brady Tkachuk, he doesn't go end to end, but he gets in the fucking goalie's face. He's hitting guys. He's engaging. And it's like, he shows up every game. You can do that. You don't have to be that same player. But scouts fucking see that and they go, look at this guy finishing every single check.
Absolutely.
Right? Every single check. 5-0. He's finishing every check. He's winning 60% of his faceoffs. So little things like that. And that's what's the difference between guys that have more success and go to the next level, even if it's not even NHL. Maybe it's minor hockey to junior, right?
Sure, I totally agree. One of the things I know there's all these analytics now and there's all that stuff. At the end of the day, I remember going to Floyd Crawford's funeral. I remember asking Lou Crawford about this. And I said, what do you think of all this? Because he's a scout now. And he did the thing when I was playing with the Bulls, it was very simple. If you win the battles along the half wall, chances are you're going to win the game. That's it. It's very simple. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you win the one-on-one battles and there's 1,000 of them a game, you will most likely win the game.
Yeah, it's going to give you better odds. Simple.
And you were always a guy, Mike, that would do anything to win, right? Because I always remember the thing about you is if something happened to a teammate, like if someone even so much as tripped Matt Stajan or something, or someone needed to be straightened out. I remember my dad was sitting there. We watched. You were pretty young then, but he would say, "Don't worry, Renzi will fucking stick him later," or something like that. And sure enough, 20, 30 minutes later, you would always fucking
remember that guy or whatever,
right? Slash or something like that. And
I had a good
just do the little things, the game within the game, right?
That's right. It was just doing those little things, and I loved throwing the good player, especially my first year. When we were going into against Ottawa and then into the Mem Cup and everything, we played against the top line, right? Because their top line. Obviously, Brian Killer wanted to put his top line against us. We played against the Mark Bells and Nick Boyens. And for guys like me, Newberry, and Robinson, that was a treat to try and again, just, I hate to say hurt, but yes, you know what I mean? That's why, if you watch Michael Renzi in practice and Michael Renzi in a game, you would have thought I was a ballerina in practice. I don't know how to hit without going absolutely balls out.
Yeah, and in a practice, you can't do it every single practice and hurt teammates and
I don't know
yourself.
How to do it.
Yeah.
Right? That's it. And people say, why don't you play men's league? Why don't you this? I go, no, I'll play pickup where I won't touch anybody and it's fun and I'm joking and I don't back check and I don't do anything. But anytime there's a competition, it's either 100% or it's 0. And I was very fortunate that the coaching staff let me do that when I was younger, and the Newberrys and Robinson Stagens, my whole career was based on those guys, and then the leadership that we had on that team, especially the championship team, was phenomenal.
Well, maybe you can just touch on Lou as a coach and kind of what his philosophy was, or you kind of have a little bit and kind of
absolutely.
Expand on him.
It was very simple. Do whatever you got to do. I hate to say this, but in that era, it was going to the bars. Right, you know what I mean? At 17 years old, it was, oh, you didn't go to school today? No problem. I remember going to Quinny and going to the janitor saying I don't even know where my locker is. Let alone the coat. You know what I mean?
I love it.
During our playoff run,
what are they gonna do? We're going to the fucking.
No, what are you gonna do? That's it. It got I had foods. I had a foods class. I had a parenting class.
I hope you can cook.
A screen education class. And a Belleville Bulls credit, no, it was come to the rink to play, and it was again. It's so bad to say now, but our philosophy was my first year. we didn't have a weight room. We had a bike that nobody rode. It was very simple. How many times have you seen a guy score a goal from the weight room? That's it. Like that was the mentality when I played. You know what I mean? With the,
so different than now, but
it's so different than now. You know, it was, you just come to work. I don't care what you guys do after you come to work. I'll never forget this. I swear to God, it was either my third year or my last year. Can you imagine a coach saying this now? Could you, Jim Halton? Okay,
Yep.
we're losing to Sudbury. I think like we were like number 1 or number 2. They're like 7 or 8. We're in Belleville. It's a Saturday night. His pep talk going into the third period. This was his pep talk. Listen, it's Saturday night in Belleville. You have a day off tomorrow, and you don't play until Wednesday. Win this effing game. And we all knew. Like, you know, we all knew. Bars and women and like that was the talk.
Yeah.
And then we ended up winning, I swear to God. You know what I mean? I think Spets was
the boys were all fired up, like, yeah.
That's it, right? Like it was very different when I played, and everybody knew Belleville. So when I went semi-pro, Belleville was always the town. It didn't matter if you were from Alberta or you were from Nova Scotia. Everybody knew Belleville was the best junior hockey city to play. Like it really was. Yeah, it really was.
Is it because of the small town feeling and you know,
small town feeling,
everybody knows everybody kind of thing, or
the fans, everybody knows everybody. Girls, the team, you know what I mean? The
great
bars,
schooling,
Little Texas, yeah, you know, like it was purely hockey, and it was a hockey town, like it is now. That was still a hockey town,
yeah.
But it was the best place to play in junior. And I don't know if a lot of people like me saying this, but I think you know, it is still a junior town, and I would love to see a junior team come back here. You know, like I'm a junior type guy. Nothing against the Sens, obviously, but my heart is more towards junior. You know.
Well, and you know what? You're 100% like the community itself has not. The full community itself has not adapted to the Sens, to the Belleville Sens. It hasn't had an opportunity either. There's been no playoff runs, which has killed them last year with Corona, and maybe this year too if they get going. But you're right, like, and people say it. But at the end of the day, the Bulls are gone. There's reasons why they're gone. The arena didn't get fixed up. I'm not going to say any names.
Yeah.
The group fucked up, and that's why they're gone.
Absolutely.
In the future, we got the Sens. I doubt we were going to have them forever. So, you know,
hopefully
we can have a junior team. We might have one in 5 years. Who knows? Yeah. But I think if the Sens ever leave and go somewhere else, the Belleville Sens I'm talking about, if they ever go somewhere else, I think an OHL team will come back because of what you said, right? Especially with the new rink or the renovated rink.
Another thing, too, is like, so when – you know, when I was playing, it's still an older community. Like, so now you go to the rink on a Saturday night, okay? So fan wants to go to the rink on a Saturday night. Well, they know, okay, Mike Renzi is second line right wing, and we know he's second line power play, and we know this, and this. When you go to a Senators game, they can go down, they can go up. It's really hard to identify with an AHL team. It's probably the hardest, you know, because you've got players going up and down, so you kind of don't know who's going to be there that night. Oh, I can't wait to go see, you know, number 9 player or whatever, you know, whatever his name is. Oh, he just got called up 2 hours ago. Well, there goes the $50 in tickets I just spent because I thought we were going to go watch them play, right? I think Belleville identifies and they want to be a part of the team. I think the worst thing I ever saw from George Burnett and that group was getting rid of the booster club. You know, that's when I said,
is that what happened? They got rid of the booster club.
I said, hey, man. You know,
I didn't know that because don't they benefit them?
The booster club was huge, man. For like they did.
And that's the hardcore fans too.
Oh,
right? You're pissing them off.
Yeah, Christmas dinners for us. Thanksgiving dinners. They did pins for us. They did everything for us, for our families. When they got rid of them, then I said, nah, this is not. You know, the Vaughn family. That's exactly what it was. A family. Right? Right. If you didn't have a place to live, I lived at Brad's house for a week or two. I lived at Doc's house for a week or two when I needed somewhere. Right. Like it was a family, and they brought it down to the team, which, you know, the team was a family too. Like we'd go 20 guys strong to the bar, 20 guys strong to Tuesday night movies. You know, like it was really like a family. You know.
Yeah, and I think I've actually heard a lot of negative stuff. Maybe towards Burnett, you know, and nothing against him as a coach or whatever, but there was some other stuff he just kind of got rid of, you know, where it pissed people off.
Absolutely.
Right?
The Booster Club
less
was the
and
one
less
for me.
over the years. You get less fans over the years, right? So I think that was one of the reasons why they were gone. Not the
Absolutely.
reason, but definitely one of them.
Absolutely huge. If they were still getting 3,500 fans a game, standing room, or even 3,000, come on. But when you're getting 1,500, I mean, the writing on the wall,
Remember during the Memorial Cup days, I mean, that rink was packed like 5 deep standing room kind of thing.
Oh,
Too.
It was insane, eh?
Yeah.
Like, it was insane. You had the hex sign going.
Oh, yeah.
the
If
hex
you
sign.
really look, like, I don't know how they could see, but what an atmosphere. I'm telling you, what an atmosphere to play in. You could not help to be pumped. Like, if you weren't pumped up for that game, like, nothing would ever pump you up. Like, and they were, again, loyal fans. Like the best, and I made Belleville home. I will never leave. It's just it's a great community. It really is.
It is amazing. Yeah. I think the Bulls were a big part of that too, right? Everyone wanted to go to the Bulls on Wednesday and Saturday night kind of thing. It was the thing to do in town.
Huge, and that's why I hope and I pray that one day a junior team does come back here again. No offense to anybody that loves the Sens, I think it's great that they took over. It's better than nothing. But I just think this is a junior town.
Oh, I'd 100% agree with that too, right? Like, and it's adapting to the players and knowing, hey, we just drafted this guy. He's a first rounder. We're waiting for him, and then we know we got him for 4 years unless he's traded. Where the pro leagues, you got some drafts, but there's so many trades and so many signings and then the guy will sign for a year and he's gone. How many guys get signed for a year and they're gone in the AHL? Tons.
That's it.
That doesn't happen in junior, right? So, it's more of a U.S. way to do it. They just come to watch the game. A lot of the U.S. cities, no offense to them, but they don't even know the game like Canadians do, especially the southern states. They don't know all the rules. They love the fights. They love the scoring, but they're not involved as much as we are probably, right?
I guess we could say, the United States maybe is entertainment, where in Canada maybe it's passion.
That's true. And that's what
I guess you can describe it like that, right?
I think that's a great way to describe
entertainment. But, with this, I'm going to watch my team, my guys. I think they identify with the players, right?
Yeah, 100%. I like that. I like that way to think of it, though. The entertainment and then the passion.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. I just thought about that now, boys?
There you go. We're going to use that one again. Well, maybe you could tell us about maybe some of the teammates you had with the Bulls. Obviously playing with Robinson. I remember one time. So he lived across the road, around the corner from where I live, but across the road from my buddy. And he had I think he had a white car or something. And it was
he had a white he had like a Bronco or something.
Yeah. But it was covered in mustard and ketchup or something one day. You remember that? What was that about?
I do, because it happened to me.
It happened to you too.
That happened to me. I was but this wasn't funny. This one, I was pissed. So I met my first wife, beautiful blonde, right? And all of a sudden, like, that's all I cared about was Amber. Okay, that's all I cared about, and shit. So then I went for a date with her, and I parked in so I went to, I think it was Krabby Joe's at the time, because that's where I met her. And I came out, and I swear to God, my 92 red Corsica, you couldn't tell. So what they did was, the bastards, they took sardines, and they put it in the heating vents. It was winter, okay? So they stuck it where the windshield is. Yeah. So then they put either syrup or molasses all over the car, okay? Then white powder, eggs, and toilet paper. Holy shit.
How do you get that off?
Boys, I'm telling you, I was pissed. I'd literally, so scrape off the windshield. Okay, let's scrape it off. And then I went to, I think it was Petro Canada at the time, where College and North Front is. Yep. I went through the car wash 2 or 3 times. Yeah, so Nate got that habit. You want to hear a good Nate Robinson story?
Yeah.
This is good. So it's our last year, and the Kings, because he's a Kingston boy, right? He was getting interviewed by Kingston, CKWS, whatever, all the time. So they go, hey, Nate, congratulations on being named to the first, team All-Star. His response what do you expect? I'm the leading goal scorer of the league. Holy
No way.
I thought, my God, I love this guy. That was him. And but he didn't think that that was just a normal thing to him.
Yeah, like normal, like I should be.
That
Why
was normal.
would I be?
Like, why would you even say? Of course, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But buddy, that's my favorite. I swear to God, my favorite
awesome.
Robinson
And
story.
give yourself a little credit too, because you were the second leading scorer in the league that year, weren't you? Like I think at one point it was Robinson, you, and then Newberry was fourth, even though Newberry got traded that time. Right?
Newberry was fourth, and I think Spezza was third.
Spezza was third, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Really?
but I was second team All-Star. I lost out to Corey Pecker. So I just remember the guys giving me the gears on that one.
Hey, one quick story. If we circle back to Nate here, did you and Nate get in a fight in your first rookie camp?
First time,
rookie?
yeah. Dropped the gloves, yeah. And all I remember is the little bastard. He just tried to wrestle. You know what I mean? He tried to wrestle, and I wanted to fight. You know what I mean? He just tried to wrestle me, like grabbing my pants and like bear hugging me. Like it was just weird. But hey, back in those days, like we had McIver, we had Policelli, we had me, we had Newberry, we had Justin Grady. Those were the rookies trying to make it on the team. Like it was all fights. Like a lot of people say, Renz, like you never had to drink or you never got initiated. You know, the only thing I had to do for initiation was go in the sweat box, and that was fun. You know what I mean? Like that was building camaraderie. You know what I mean? Like it was a thing. But we never had to do those drink games or anything. One, because all our rookies drank anyway. But we were like we had really tough rookies my first year. For sure. But our heavyweight of the team was Nick Policelli, who was a rookie.
Yeah.
He was the heavyweight, you know.
And that's probably a huge reason why you guys won it that year too, right? Because that adds so much depth, right? If you got rookies that can all play, can all fight, they're all tough. You're not getting pushed
the top line.
Yeah, we were really team tough, eh? Like we really were, and then we had Lawmaster and Policelli that were legit. Like Lawmaster like toned it down because it was an overager. We needed him more on the ice, but Nick Policelli was. Like he was a heavyweight. He was fighting 20-year-olds that were heavyweights, right? Like, like that's and then again, then you had your team toughness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Ryan Reddy too. He was a crazy tough guy.
Oh, he was tough. Oh my God, I'll never forget. The guy used to have a different stick, like an all-wood stick, to kill penalties, just because like the splash guys. You know what I mean? Like
that's funny. Just to go and whack guys.
Yeah, like I'll never forget like seeing him coming back from, I think it was Vancouver or Calgary's camp. He came back a little bit later into training camp, and him walking in, I'm going, who the hell is this beast? Yeah, I thought it was a man. You know, like, but he was the best day. Like Ryan Reddy, he was the best captain I ever had. Like that guy, he treated us like gold as rookies, and he treated everybody like with respect. Yeah, so it was good.
Yeah, and that's almost what you need to win, right? Like you got the leadership, and you guys had what? Was Papineau on that team?
Yeah,
Papineau's on the team.
Chichu.
Come on,
what were those guys like? Because to us, I was a young kid, right? Like those guys were like NHL stars to me.
Yeah,
like,
they were like
phenomenal.
When I went to the first camp, I'd say probably the first 2 weeks, when those guys all came back, that's when I knew. I said, okay, like I'm not gonna have an NHL career. You know what I mean? Like there's these guys, and then there's me. I'm gonna try my best to have like a little career, sure. But I quickly knew that they were in a different league, those guys. You know what I mean? The Chichus and Papineaus, and the Reddies. But Chichu and Papineau, like they were sick. Like they were legit superstars, man. They were awesome. Great.
Chichu had what, 52 goals? Or he led the NHL one.
Yeah, he led the NHL one.
And then he dropped way off. But Jesus,
I think
that one year.
Injury, I don't know what happened, right? Yeah. But he was a great guy. Like I mean, that team, all 4 years, like we were just such a good team. We always did stuff together. You know, it was awesome. You know, it's so funny because like I would tell you stories and you'd be like, no way. Well, you guys wouldn't, but people would hear it. They'd be like, oh my God, we got to call somebody. We got to sue somebody. To us, that was like, that was fun. That was fun. That was all a part of it. You know what I mean? Like there was no hazing. There was no nothing like that. Like it was all fun. It was awesome. I truly enjoyed it. Yeah, I truly enjoyed it. And if any of my kids went through the same experience that I did, I'd be happy.
Really?
Hockey players seem to have a different personality, right? You can take a little more like that thing. You know, some things that people would consider, you know, bullying or hazing, like, you know, we consider that fun, right? It's team building. It's getting together with the guys for sure.
150%. You know what? Like, again, like I identify more with the hockey players, you know what I mean, than friends back home. Like it was just different. Hockey players are just a different breed. It doesn't matter how old you are, right? It really is. We're gentlemen. You know, we're all gentlemen. We're all very polite. Hockey players are known for that too, right? Yeah. And you know, ever since, you know, you guys know, ever since you're young, you know, you're playing AAA. You're wearing a tie. You're wearing a blazer or whatnot. You know.
But you're taught respect in a way where you can be with the boys.
That's what I was looking for.
When you look at the locker room talk, if you were to look at the locker room talk, so you go in to talk to a parent or a coach or another,
totally different.
It's totally different, right? But you know the difference. You know when to have respect. And you know when to shoot shit. And,
absolutely.
You know, kind of be yourself, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people that don't play sports, especially hockey, they don't get it. They think it's just one way.
They really don't. The one thing we had in our room was what you hear here stays here, see here stays, you know, one of those lines, you know, and that's what it is, right? The dressing room was, you know,
like the Vegas thing, what happens here stays here, or whatever. Right?
There it is, you know.
Whatever that saying is.
Yeah, so.
Bell Vegas, there you go.
Bell Vegas, and then when we went on a losing streak, then he actually put a crew for you in for a little bit, Louis.
Oh, really?
And then we called it Balcatraz.
Oh, that's not. Who is another guy? So, Chris Rutledge, he was your trainer.
Great guy.
What was he like? Because he was around the rinks forever, right? And then he
we got some stories about Rut too.
So here's a story about Rut. Okay, and this describes who Chris Rutledge is and who he was to me. So Michael Renzi, his rookie year, first game in Kitchener. I have family in Kitchener. I have my family from Mississauga, which is only 40 minutes away. So here we go. They're going to the auditorium to watch the Bulls play the Rangers. So, okay, you know, whistle goes, Michael's first shift. I line up, and it was a neutral zone faceoff, and Richard Kazda, I know his name now, fucking guy slashes me. You know, I'm like, oh, okay. Like before the puck drops, behind the leg. Drop the gloves. He stands up. All I remember is like being brought up on the ice. So it was a one punch. Yeah, broke my nose. But at that time, he also took the helmet off when he hit me, landed on the ice. So I was bleeding. So when I came to, it was Rutledge and Shilton, but Rutledge was holding me. He had the back of my head because I was bleeding and my nose. I'm skating off, you know, with Rutledge. Now it's just him, okay? So now he's holding me. A fan says something. I don't know what he says. Rut lets me go, okay, and tries. Okay, but at that time you had the key with the hockey stick handle, you know, like, and jumped up, tried hitting the guy. That's Chris Rutledge. You know what I mean? Like,
picking up, he's part of the team. He's right in there, right?
Oh yeah.
You want to say something to Michael Renzi, who just got knocked out? No problem. I'm going to try to hit you with the shaft of the key, right? Like he was the best. He gave they had him give, like, could you imagine 17 years old with my family? The first person we met from the organization, like in the Belleville Bulls arena, the Yarman, was him. He gave the tour. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, holy shit, man.
Did he have any Molson Golds with him?
That's what it was. Like, so that's what it was. Like, that's it. You know it. So it was Ruts Bar and Grill after the game. Right, it was parents and everybody that could Molson Golden, right?
Molson Golden.
Yeah, I remember the who told me, Kanapka told me that they got, okay, so when they went on their road trips, because they were far Ottawa, right? Yeah. Killer, okay, would it was a case of beer after every game, but you could only drink it after the Sunday game. So they had 3 cases of beer for the whole team. Like, that's insane hearing that now. Yeah.
You guys would go crazy if they did that now, right? Like, it's everything.
God, it would be all over the news. The team would be shut down. Holy smoking, you know. But that's just the way it was, right? Our no, it was a different world, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. And it really was a great time in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that story, like, because earlier you talked about everything being a family, right? And you're talking about the guys going to the bar, the guys going to the movies, and then, you know, something happens. Well, what's your trainer do, right? He's part of that family. He's sticking up for you. He's not just, you know, he you know, and guys would think, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. Well, guess what? He's saying, you know what? We're all together. I don't care if you're the trainer, the manager, we're a team. And that's what makes it fun, because you're like, holy shit, this guy's sticking up for me. Guess what? You're going to go do something for him next. And that's how things work out, right? So,
and it's so funny. A lot of people don't get this, and people might think I'm an idiot, but when I time keep, I feel part of the team. I feel part of the referees. You know what I mean? Like, we all talk, we go after. It's nice to be a part of something, and just to be back in the game of some sort. Whether even just being a timekeeper, it still is like, I'm just a part, like, with the linesmen, with the referees, like, we're together. And listen, like, I've snapped. I've, like, when coaches try and go after the refs, like, I lose it. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like, like, it's
you're into it then. Yeah.
Sometimes it gets bad, but that's just a part. I got a funny timekeeping story for you. So
I think we're looking for a timekeeper, aren't we, Broke?
There we go. We might have one.
Like, this is hilarious, eh? This is hilarious. So this coach, it's my first AAA game. Okay, because I only do, like, really like double A and, like, I was for Belleville Bulls hockey. So Nick Myers calls me, okay, let's do this. So I'm looking at this coach, and now I can't remember his name. Oh, for shit's sake. So this coach is snapping at his players. Like, I mean, like, losing it. I got to get his name. Frank Littlejohn. So he's snapping at his players. I'm like, this guy's a psychopath. Well, it was the second period, and there was a penalty, and, the whistle blew just as the Quinny player had to get out. So I let him out. He loses it, okay? He had let him out before, so I yell out explanatories, you know what I mean? So, we yell at each other a little bit. His assistant yells at me, whatever. Okay, fine. Come afterwards, it was at the third period. I'm like, this guy's still going on. He's going on at the rest. I go, who is this idiot? I look, Frank Littlejohn. I go up to him after the game, okay? So I go, hey, Frank. So he turns around, and he probably thinks I was – so I had my hand on him. I make sure I had my hand on him. I go, hey, you beat me up like 5 years ago when we were playing pro. It was hilarious. Yeah. And then when I told him it was in Elmira, he kicked the shit out of me. Yeah.
That's such
so
a small
we had a good laugh about it. But again, here's the other thing about hockey players. We yelled at each other, okay, like through, like, I was a timekeeper, but it didn't continue afterwards. You know what I mean? We didn't say meet in the parking lot or anything like that. You know what I mean? It was, we yelled at each other, and afterwards we're shaking hands.
It's done.
That's what hockey's all about. That's what hockey's all about.
I think hockey teaches you that too. Like, it teaches you that, things stay on the ice, right? Like, once it's done, once the game's done, and you guys go at it for 60 minutes, you can go have a beer after, right? Doesn't matter what happens during the game. Yeah,
100%. There'd be fights between some of our players in practice. It's got heated. That's just the way it goes sometimes, Yeah.
Hey, Mike, can we quickly circle back just to the? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Say what you're saying.
I was just going to put my phone on charge. Yeah. Can we just circle back quick to the Memorial Cup run? So when you guys played London, right? And I think you had 2 goals in the clincher to been against Ottawa too. But anyway, when you guys are going into Game 7, because you guys were up 3-1, if I remember correctly, right? So going into Game 7, come back to Belleville. What are you thinking there? Like, what are the nerves going into a Game 7?
With London?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, I'd been through that scenario. I did a Game 7 with Caledon, and we got absolutely shit kicked. Like it was for the championship. We got shit kicked, so that I was scared. Like, I'm thinking, not again, man. Like, second year in a row. I went out for pre-game to Buffet Garden with Michael Jacobson, and they'd offered us. So what Lou did was he put before, like, they offered us, like, a bonus, like, as an incentive to win, and then the trip to the Bahamas, and then
really?
Said,
I didn't even know that. Trip to the Bahamas.
He said, trip to the Bahamas, and then he said, okay, write the initial of somebody you want to win this game for, and that was his strategy, and that kind of made it real, because I put my grandfather's initials, because he would come watch. Did the 2-hour drive at 80 years old or however old he was, and then that was it. We did it, and Chichu got 5 goals.
Just great, insane. 5 goals in a Game 7 championship game, like that's just that was on TV a few times, eh? I actually watched that game the other night. It was on Cogeco 4 or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever, Cogeco Belleville Station, whatever it is.
Wow.
That Game 7.
So that game kind of sucked for me because I hardly played. Yeah. That I played the whole playoff, but that game, just the way it went, it was Chichu was riding high, right? So
Well, yeah, you scored 5 goals. Right?
Yeah, and then once the Memorial Cup came, and like then I was playing a ton in the Mem Cup just because like the injuries we had, when they were taking our players out, right? Chichu being one of them. Who nailed him? I think it was Lacroix from Acme Bathurst took out Chichu with a knee, and then Lance Galbraith took out Papineau with an elbow.
Yeah,
really.
How hot was Papineau during that playoff run? When I looked at his stat, I think he had he averaged over 2 points a game in the playoffs. 51 points. 51 points. And the next closest guy is Chichu at like 36. Like, how hot was he during that run, man?
That was it. He was on
That's
fire.
Insane. Yeah.
He's on fire. In the playoffs, like back in the day when it was like you could get away with a lot of shit, you know? And remember, he wasn't a big guy either, right?
No.
Yeah, he wasn't big.
What happened? Did something happen at Memorial Cup with your motel or your hotel?
Yeah,
Didn't something happen
it was
there?
a shithole, man. It was a shithole. It was all under renovations. It was a disaster. Yeah. I think we ended up moving to another hotel after, but they gave us the shittiest room. They didn't give us a dressing room at the Civic Center, whatever it's called. Yeah, no, it was like not a storage room, but we were sitting on chairs. Yeah, it wasn't a dressing room.
So they tried to treat you guys, even though you won because you beat them out. So it's like, hey, we got to get an advantage somewhere. Where I mean, now you have people complaining and everything, but back then that was part of the game, right? Like,
you know what Rut used to do?
No,
he used to take sand, very little, and put it on their bench.
I think Rut told me that actually.
Yeah, he told me, yeah.
Yeah, I think he told us that. So one of our old buddies, we don't see him anymore, but his mom dates Rut, or was anyways. So we used to go to his house, but that's a while ago, fun.
Oh yeah, that's 10 years ago now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So he used to tell some stories, but that one sounds really familiar. Yeah. The sand, because it screws up the blades, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a greasy one too, because like you're never gonna know. Like how you'd have to what do you sleep it?
Absolutely.
Like, I don't know.
It was old school, man.
Yeah, that's awesome though. What else you got, Flem? It's 9:10. You want to? Are you good?
A few more minutes, or?
Yeah, I got a couple minutes. Absolutely.
You got a couple minutes?
What was the party like after you guys beat London Game 7?
Unreal. So basically, I remember it was my brother-in-law there, my dad, and then my girlfriend. And all I remember is, so when we came into the room, we all had the hats, I think a T-shirt, and each of us had the big bottle of champagne. And I don't remember too much. I remember Mezzi sitting in the shower with half his gear on, drinking the champagne.
That's awesome.
The shower wasn't on, I don't think. He was just sitting there, or maybe it was. And all I remember is taking the champagne and pouring it over my girlfriend's head.
Oh, no.
Yeah, but it was awesome. It was just such a celebration. Little Texas that night, obviously.
Oh, little tease.
Little tease that night. But then because we went to Game 7, it was within a couple of days we were in Ottawa.
You're gone, so you got to get right back focused. And,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But it was a time of my life, especially to share with those guys and the Vaughn family. Again, they treated us like gold, eh? Absolutely like gold.
Like you said, it's all family, right? And
it's all family.
It's shitty when things change too, like that. Ownership, and then you get a new coach.
It wasn't family.
And everybody's. I don't know. It's definitely tough. I kind of had something minor like that when I played junior, and it was like you're used to something, everything's going good, and then there's a change, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?"
And
it just doesn't. You don't enjoy it. It's just you don't enjoy going to the rink as much too, right?
So that's the worst.
Obviously, it didn't change when you were there, but obviously the guys after. But
some guys after it also rattled
them. You could tell this.
You know what I mean? Like it really did. Yeah.
You could tell it was a family too, because what other owner in the league would go down and stitch people up like mid-game, right? Like, I know where we had tickets, Doc Vaughn probably sat like 10 rows below us, and every time the light would come on, he would get up and he'd leave and he'd go, give you stitches or whatever. And
that's right. He sat right in the middle of the rink.
Section 7.
Yeah, and it was on the exact opposite side of the home bench.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, every time there was
he wanted to be a part of the people.
He'd sprint back up the stairs and run right down and.
Absolutely, but just think about it. He was the owner of the team and wanted to be a part of the people.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what it's about, right? And that's what gets people to the game, because they're like, you know what? I respect this guy. He respects us. He's not thinking he's bigger than me. He's not sitting up there in a box or whatever. He's in there talking to everybody. And then everybody's like, you know what? This is and that's what makes it, a community's team, right? And you're right. We're missing that right now with the Belleville Sens. It's not even close. And I talked to a couple guys, and they like that were with the Bulls back in the day. You'd know them. I'm not going to bring their names up, but they worked there, and they wouldn't hire them because the Belleville Sens said, "Oh, we don't want to hire too many guys. We don't want to. We're not the Bulls. We're the Sens. We want to be connected."
Absolutely.
And I looked at that and I'm like, "You guys are idiots. You should be connecting with the Bulls because that's what people remember. And that's what they want. You should be connecting as much as you can. You should be having like a Bulls night where you have Bulls out, and you're going to connect with the fans, right?"
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's too bad they don't do that. I mean, I think they're missing out on a huge opportunity here. Remember the 90, especially the 99 Bulls. Remember them. Have them back. Let's wear the Bulls jerseys one night. Just bring that type of family stuff that the old players remember, and then that's how you kind of get them hooked to the new.
That's it. Well, you just have to remember, Belleville Minor Hockey. It's still the Bulls. It's junior Bulls, right? Like enough said, right?
Exactly.
Like, so you're right. I never thought of that. That'd be something great, if they did something like that. I think they'd have a lot more respect from the fans too, and it would just kind of bring everybody back, right? But that's definitely not the case.
No, right now it isn't, but hopefully in the future we'll see what happens. And
you never know, boys. You never know.
Anything can happen, right? They left, they can come back. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 5 to 10 years, the Belleville Senators are gone, and that's the case. Well, then we'll see. Yeah,
I think so too. I don't think that rink will be empty too long if the Sens left. To be honest, there'll be somebody in there. Not with the renovations, and I think they know they can have this fan support. You never know. It'd be nice for some, maybe the old NHLers that were here, right? Maybe they get a group together, right? Like that would be a dream.
That would
the
be cool.
Crawford family, you never know, right?
Yeah. Now, just one question here. Like we talked about earlier about adapting to the game, and I probably already know your answer, but who would adapt that played back when you played to today's game the best? Who would have the best chance? Like
for me, Nate Robinson.
Yeah, that was my guess. Just because like I remember hearing him on Coach's Corner, Don Cherry saying like Nate Robinson, this guy's the future, this guy's that, and he didn't pan out in the NHL. Like he had a nice pro career and everything. But like I look at him and I remember how fast that guy was, like
lightning.
And when he got going, like when he was going down that wing, everybody's up on their seat, like what's gonna happen?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they're like, holy shit, right? And another guy before your time was Richard Park. And he was kind of like that too. They were like the same.
Absolutely. So if you ever watched me, in warm-up, at the end of the warm-up, when you did the half moon and everybody kind of just one shot after another on the goalie, I'd never do that. I'd always do saucer passes to it was Newberry, and then it became Staging. Okay, and my dad, obviously he didn't need to ask me, but a lot of people ask me, like, why don't you shoot? Why are you doing these stupid saucer passes? And then I go, well, it's very simple. I get the puck on the hash mark in my own zone. I'm saucing it to the chocolate rocket.
To the open space. Yeah. I love that one. I've never heard of that one.
No, he had it on his so he
had, no way. So that was his nickname?
So he had two nicknames. And this was on his stick. Like, so basically back in the day, you used to have like the shaft and then the blade. You used to get your names on the blades. Mine was just simply Renzi. He had two different names. Okay. It used to be C Rocket. Okay. And then he'd have that on his blade. Okay. Really? Like that, and then B Magic, Black Magic.
Oh, Black Magic. No way. I love the chocolate rocket though. Like, I don't know. I've never heard that.
That was his nickname.
And that's what he was though. He was like a cannonball, right? And like, holy shit, when he could go, he could go. And then back then you could hook and hold and you could get him off his game. I think if he was the guy to play now, I think he's fucking dominant. Like, honestly, like it's too bad when you look at different eras and different guys. And I'm sure there's big guys now that would be way better back in the 90s, right?
Of course. But no, he jumped ship early. He didn't like the up and down and the grind of the A and NHL. So he went to Europe and made his career there and played for a long career.
He played a while there, didn't he?
He's still there now, running I think a hockey school and stuff.
Oh, is he? Yeah. Now, do you ever keep in touch with those guys like that?
Absolutely, through Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, I do. Yeah.
Facebook too, eh? Yeah, and like Matty Staging, your other line mate there, like he had a great NHL career.
Yeah, I don't talk to him, but he had a great NHL career. I mean,
played for some Canadian teams too. Like,
what a story, his story. And I'm just happy I was a part of it. I sat beside him.
Now he played major midget one year too, didn't he? Didn't he come back after the OHL chapter? Because I think Andrew Shaw did that too. And I know when I played, when I coached Quinny, like if you went and played, like I play major midget myself, but coaching kids, I can't go back. And I'd say, you know what? Yeah, okay, maybe it's not a big step forward, but there's guys that play in the NHL that did. And I know Shazi did, and I'm pretty sure Stajan did, and then went to the Bulls.
Yep. Yeah. No, I'm almost positive. There's late bloomers out there.
Exactly.
You know, that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, so it was good.
Well, anyways, one quick story before we go. And this is like, I remember I was a kid. So like I said, we look up to the Bulls. I was at Pizza one day. I don't know if you're going to remember this. Pizza was takeout only, right? So I got a slice of pizza. I'm 10, maybe 11 or 12 years old. And I'm
down to whole extra large.
Certainly on the curb. I don't know if I'm eating a slice or a whole pizza. I got pizza all over my face. Who walks around the corner? You and probably your girlfriend at the time, Rocket Blonde. And
Amber, yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, Renzi. And you're going, hey, buddy, what's going on? You know? And I'm sitting there, pizza all over my face. You're probably wanting to go home with her right away. But you sat there and you talked to me like you knew me, like you know,
that's
like
what
we
it's
are
all
today.
about.
And it's like,
really, that's what
and
it's
I
all
think
about.
that's why a lot of people love you in Belleville and really like you because you'll sit and spend the time whether it's a hockey guy or it's somebody, you know, a kid or whatever. And that's what a lot of people like, right? And especially when you're a hockey player and they'll get to go to games like, oh shit, now I like that Renzi guy, right? Like,
absolutely.
you know. So I don't know. I remember that story.
Well, thanks,
funny,
Jeffrey.
you know, I got pizza all over my face. And,
you know, it's so funny because my girlfriend mentioned to me, I think it was only like last week. We were talking about something. She goes, you know what I really like about you? And I'm like, I don't know. Okay. She's like you say hi to everybody and how nice you are, like just to strangers and going to Walmart and talking to people, you know, kindness goes so far, boys. You know what I mean? It really does. Kindness and manners, you know, it really in plainness takes you through life, especially in this town, you know, like,
for sure.
you know, in this, everybody knows everybody here, you know, so, but that's why I love this town. That's why I stayed, right?
Yeah,
you know,
that's awesome.
it was
Toronto boy coming down here and playing 4 years of junior, and then
absolutely.
Well, it's getting a little late, but we appreciate you coming on today.
Well, I appreciate it. Please, anytime, fellas. You have no idea how much it means to me to come back and talk about it, right?
I think we'll definitely have to do another one because we didn't even really get into what, you know, the little bit of pro you played and all that. And I'm sure there's more Bull stories. So
absolutely,
we'll do it another day for sure. Yeah.
I would love it, and I think one day it would be nice if you got two of us on. I think that'd be even hilarious too.
What would you do? You in Newbury? Something like that?
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
Like something like that, and then you could tell some stories. And I don't know, just thinking off the top of my head.
You get two or three Bud Lights in them, and then we'll have a good time.
Talk about the chocolate rocket a little bit too, and
that's hilarious. Oh my god!
I can't believe I've never heard that name before. It's so funny.
I've never heard that one, and he
had
it
on his blade. I swear to God,
Rocket. So he loved it. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that's awesome.
Well, that's what it was all about, man. You know. But thanks, fellas. I really appreciate you having me on. It means a lot.
No, thank you. We appreciate it. We'll have you again for sure.
Yeah.
All right. See you, fellas.
Take care, man.
Bye,
guys. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that interview with Michael Renzi. He is quite the character. He's known in Belleville, played 4 years for the Belleville Bulls. I know we had a ton of laughs. And some of the sayings and whatnot he has are pretty funny. And I know he has lots more to bring. We're going to try and bring him on with possibly one of his ex-line mates for Belleville Bulls in the upcoming future. So thanks, Renzi, for that. And we look forward to hearing from you in the future, bud. But to go on with that, guys, we would like to talk about our partner company, Pay It Forward Sports. We announced on Saturday, we kind of released it via YouTube, right? That we had our first tournament planned. And on Sunday, we actually gave out the full details. Within 4 to 6 hours, we were full. Our tournament was full, and I think officially in about 6 hours from the time we released all the details, how much it costs, that stuff. So that's awesome. We thank you guys for supporting us. We're going to do whatever we can for the community to get adults playing back sports. There is going to be there's going to be some kids tournaments, and there is going to be some women in the future. We are working on that. But we also are working on another tournament. We would like to do 5-on-5 in April. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, but we are going to have a tournament. It may be 4-on-4. Because of COVID, you can only have so many players and all that stuff. So we are working on that. And hopefully within a week, we can release that. Eh, buddy?
Yeah, for sure. So like Jeff said, we did want to do a 5-on-5, but with all the COVID precautions going on right now, we can't have too many people in a room or too many people in a building at one time. So we are looking at other options. We are going to run a tournament, a bigger one, divided up at separate rinks is what we're thinking about doing. But yeah, we just want to thank the community. We want to thank everyone who inquired. I know there were some people that couldn't get in and they were disappointed, but just hang in there with us. The next week or two, we'll announce our next one. And anyone who didn't get in, jump into this next one. It's going to be tons of fun. And we just want to thank the community and everyone who's choosing to participate. Like everyone said, we are going to give a part of all our proceeds back into getting kids into sport too. So by you coming out and playing, you are indirectly helping kids get into sports.
Now, if you're not only a hockey fan and you like other sports, guys, this isn't going to be only hockey tournaments. We're trying to get some hockey tournaments in while we can, obviously, for the end of the year. We are looking into a pile of different sports. We hopefully in the next month, we're going to have a bunch of them finished, but we're looking into things like beach volleyball, basketball, golf, ball hockey, and baseball, and along with other things. And then obviously a lot of hockey come next fall and winter. So we have a lot planned for you guys, and we can't wait to get rocking. This has been a phenomenal start with us. And we also are going to have, just to touch on go back to the Boo Club, we are going to have more guests. Our plan is to have a guest every Wednesday. So stay tuned. Make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and of course, subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah, guys, so that wraps up this episode of the Battle of Ontario podcast. We want to thank everyone for tuning in. Please hit us up on our socials. We're on Instagram, Facebook, our website, payitforwardsports.ca. If you have any questions or anything you want to bring up about the podcast, send us an email at info@payitforwardsports.ca, and we can bring any fan questions up on future shows. But thanks for tuning in. That's all we have for today, guys. Thanks, Mike Renzi, for coming on. We really appreciate that. And yeah, go Bulls, go. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. And Brokey, are you in?
The Boo Club.